So far in this chapter, we've been exploring how to apply effects to clips where the change we create is applied for the entire duration of the clip. Sometimes, though, you want an effect to come in gradually, leave abruptly, or even both. Fortunately, through keyframes, we can change an effect over time in either gradual or abrupt manners. So let's take a look. I'm going to go into 9.6 and load Effects Keyframe Begin. And this is another one of our Project Reload montages. And our very beginning shot is this nice slow pan looking up at the sky through the trees. So I want to add some effects to this clip. I'm going to select it and then use my up arrow so that I go to the very beginning. And then I'm going to open up my effects browser, this button here, or Command 5, and open up my inspector, this button here, or Command 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is just demonstrate something very simple using the black and white filter, and then we'll get a little more complex. So I'm going to drag and drop the black and white effect on top of this clip, and let's come over to the inspector. Right now, my amount is at 100%. And if I change this to 0, then it would be 0% black and white, or full color. So I want to start at 100% black and white, and I'm going to add a keyframe. And to do that, you just click on this little diamond right here. So now I've told Final Cut that I'm keyframing this effect, so it knows that I'm going to change this over time. So all I do is I go to the point where I want a keyframe value to change, and then I can add another keyframe and then change my value. So I'll go to 0. And I can navigate from keyframe to keyframe right here. This is previous keyframe, and I'm going back to the first one, and this is next keyframe. So I only have 2 keyframes, 2 values, about as simple as you can get. But I'm going to go to the beginning, and let's go ahead and play. Easy enough. Now that was for demonstration purposes to teach you how to add and manipulate keyframes, but I'm actually going to delete black and white for now. And instead, let's create a nice, glowing, blooming look. So we're kind of looking up at the sky and things are really shining. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of my clip. I'll press my up arrow, and I want the glory right here. And let's go ahead and add that to my clip. And you can see what the values look like already. So this is what I'm after. And I want to start at full value, and then I want to decrease it, and then I want to go back up to full value. So let's do this here in the inspector, and we're going to use the amount slider. So we're on the first frame of the clip. I'm going to add a keyframe, and I'm going to go up to maybe 80% or so. And now let's move to about halfway through. In fact, I want it to hit on the music, so I'll go ahead and play and then stop on the beat on the music. Right there, and we'll add another keyframe. And before, I actually physically clicked on another keyframe to add it, but once you've added one keyframe, Final Cut knows that you're keyframing your values. So I can just actually change my amount, and it adds a keyframe for me. So now I'm at 0. And now let's go to the very end of my clip. I'll hit down arrow, and I'm actually on the first frame of the next clip, so I'm just going to go back 1 frame. And so now I'm at 0, and let's go back up to about 80. And I'm just going to check my previous and next keyframes. Let's go to previous keyframe, and there I'm in the middle, and I'll go back 1 more keyframe, and there we are at the beginning of the clip. Let's go ahead and play it and see how it looks. So that's exactly what I want. It goes with the music, it's shining, and then it decreases in that value, and then back up again. Now I actually want to add another effect. I'm going to come into Basics, and I'm going to choose Hard Light. And this is just going to intensify what I've already done. I'm skimming through it right now so you can get a sense of what I mean. So I'm going to apply Hard Light, and I'd like to mimic exactly what I did keyframe-wise in my glory effect. Well, I can do this by going from previous to next keyframe and then going to hard light and setting a keyframe and then back and forth, but it gets a little awkward. It'd be nice if I could actually see my keyframes. Well, fortunately, I can. I'm going to just go to the very first frame, so I'll do my up arrow. And now let's right-click and choose Show Video Animation, or Control V. Now this opens up, and I'm going to zoom in so we can see this a little better. And here you can see glory and hard light up here at the top. And here are all my built-in effects down here. Now, whatever order I have them in the inspector is the order that they appear here in the video animation stack. So if I bring hard light up to the first position, you can see that it's also in the first position here. So now I can see my keyframes. Specifically, here's my first keyframe, here's my second keyframe, and here's my third keyframe. So let's go to the beginning of the clip again. I'll do my up arrow, and I can either just use this as a guide and set my keyframes in the inspector, or I can actually set the keyframes here in the video animation tool. So I'll do both. Right now I'm at the first keyframe, and we'll have hard light at 100, which it is right now. And I'm going to tell Final Cut, okay, I'm going to start keyframing. So I'll click on my keyframe button. Now I'm going to go to the next keyframe, and I can see it right there. And I want to bring my hard light amount to 0. So I've already told Final Cut that I'm keyframing. I don't need to physically add another one. I can just drag this down to 0, and you can see that another keyframe was added. And then finally, let's go to the very end of the clip. I'll press my down arrow, and here's where I'll demonstrate how to actually add keyframes within the video animation tool. I can click on this little button here, and a graph opens up. So I can option click on my animation line right here. A keyframe is added, and then I can just drag up. So this keyframe animation should be pretty identical to this one, and it is. Now, just a couple of logistics in the video animation tool. If I would like to move my keyframe in this graph, I certainly can, left and right, and up and down. And when I do that, that certainly affects the way that my effect animates. I also want to mention what it is that we're keyframing. For hard light, the only thing that I can keyframe is amount. You can see that the only parameter is amount. But under glory, there's several parameters that I can adjust. And if I would like to change what it is that I'm animating, I just do so within this menu here. I'll click here, and I can also keyframe my threshold or my center if I like. With all of that said, let's go ahead and watch the clip and see how we like these two effects working together. I like that a lot. I'm going to go ahead and close my video animation tool by clicking on this little X here. So as you can see, adding keyframes is an effective way to add effect animation to your clips, allowing them to change over time in exactly the way that you want.